Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at Supplement 12 for Traveler, the original Traveler, Forms and Charts. This was out in 1983, and this is, of course, for Classic Traveler. This is a book I was simultaneously really excited to get my hands on and really frustrated with, and I'll explain that as I go into the video. I like this supplement a great deal. Also, I want to just take a moment on a personal note to just kind of clear up a little misconception going on. Some people have noticed that I have a little involuntary motion in my head and periodically in my right hand. I've had some people, some politely and with concern, ask if I was okay, and I've had other people who were not so nice about it. The answer is yes, I'm fine. This is from an old head injury, a closed head injury, traumatic brain injury from decades ago. The injury itself nearly killed me, but that's okay, I'm here. And it left me with a couple of lingering things, one of which is my little head tremor and a little bit of difficulty controlling my right hand. Also, it left me with migraines. I do get migraines more often than I'd like, and I am a migraineur, as they call us. Those are people who suffer from migraines. Although I prefer to think of myself as a migrainaut, a term I made up for exploring new vistas of pain and pushing back the boundaries of nausea and light sensitivity. It's something I live with. It's something that my family has been great in supporting me at. I married an excellent woman who has done a great job in dealing with this and taking care of me. I really appreciated everything she's done. So thank you, hon. Also, I've raised two boys who have grown into great young men who've been very supportive of me. I just wanted to address it because I had some people who did notice that I had involuntary movement. I told my wife when I started appearing in front of the camera, oh, they'll never notice. I'll just kind of move around a lot and they'll never notice. And she laughed and laughed. And she said, they'll notice. She was right. So just clearing the air, explaining why I do have it. It's called a, oh my gosh, I can't even think of it right now. It's a type of tremor. And it can happen through head injury. It's rarer through head injury, but that's where mine came from. I've had that tremor itself for about a decade now. The head injury itself was more than 2 decades ago. That's it. I've had many of these videos I filmed while I was in a migraine. So if there are a few that you go back and you look and I don't look like I'm feeling too good, well, that's why I was in a migraine. It's just something I've learned to live with. It's part of my daily life. It's no different than breathing, or in my case, post-COVID, short breathing. It's just part of being alive. So that's it. I just wanted to clear the air, let everybody know what was going on with that, and everybody who expressed concern, thank you very much. I appreciate it, but I'm fine. And everybody who was less than kind about it, take a look in the mirror. You got some stuff to take care of there. But back to the important stuff. Today, Traveler from Classic Traveler, for me it's Traveler, Forms and Charts, supplement number 12 from 1983. Supplement 12, Forms and Charts. One other note I didn't say at the top, and I want to address, thank you. During my little holiday break here, I cleared over 2,000 subscribers. And I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who has subscribed. And who has supported the channel. I really appreciate that you've done so. Let's keep it growing. Also, my Patreon, I'm working hard coming into this year to make my Patreon better and something that more people would find useful. To that end, I'm interested in suggestions, of course. But take a look at the Patreon. I've got a free rewards up there. So back to the important stuff. Supplement 12, Forms and Charts. I bought this guy when it came out in 83. As you can see, I foolishly tried to remove a sticker. Princely sum of $6. Got this guy. Oh, $5.25. I think I got this at Pat's Hobbies in Oak Lawn. Oak Lawn, Illinois. It's not too far from where I live. So, Supplement 12. So what this book is a compilation of the Forms and Charts, and it's credited to Mark W. Miller, of course, creator of Traveler. And these are various forms that have appeared throughout the life of Traveler books to this point. This was one of the last of the digest-sized books. This may even have been the last size, digest size. In 83, they went to the bigger, regular-sized books. I love Traveler. I love it dearly, but there's always going to be part of me that loves these little digest-sized books. So what these are is different. Here's the introduction telling us what they are. You can photocopy them and things like that. And they talk about how to use the forms and what you do with them. Well, here's your character. So your character sheet is right here. This has appeared in other stuff, in other supplements, and most of these forms had been in other supplements. And what I was thrilled about was having all these forms. This was outstanding. The frustration with this book was it was 1983. I had no means to duplicate them. I didn't have access to a copier. The place I was working at the time didn't have one. None of my friends or family were, I mean, some of my family were working in places where they had copiers, but it wasn't exactly a situation where I could, ask my mom, hey, go in and copy a bunch of these. I was 22 years old. I didn't feel real comfortable with that. And my mom was a sport for this kind of stuff, by the way. She never played, but she would have copied them. But it was never anything I was comfortable with. So that was the frustration of this book. I had all these great forms, but I really couldn't figure out how to use them. I even got to a point where I filled out one or two of these very lightly in pencil in the book just to try to have them. Within a few years, I was able to get access to a copier, and I made all the copies I wanted. But when I first bought this book, it was kind of frustrating. Here's a sheet, character generation data. So the idea is you would go ahead and do all your the stuff that you did as you generated your character. You would go ahead and record it here. And then your weapon, all your weapons, your ammunition, everything, you would have it all here in this sheet. And then, of course, equipment data. So these were really handy forms, and they did see a good amount of use once I got my hands on a copying machine. Then we go to the ship's forms. The ship's papers, I really got a kick out of the ship's papers and the legality of where you were flying and things like that. And that drove a couple of my different games. And then the ship's computer with all the various programs you could have. Now, I know Mongoose did something similar to this for the universe building. It was a supplement they put out late in 2022. It's around $25, which gave you a bunch of forms and things like that. So there is still stuff like this out there. Ship paragraph description. So you can write down all the essentials of your ship right here. Again, in Mongoose, they exist, and then back in this time they did too, but this is a way to kind of call it out. But it exists now in the ship write-ups and things like that. And it did then in 83, but this was still kind of neat. Cargo manifest. I have actually driven entire games off the cargo manifest because I would hand them a form when I got access to the copier. I would hand them this form filled out with what they had, and then I'd fill it out with another version of what they had told me they wanted to appear to have. And then they'd go through customs, and they'd have to pass customs. So I ran through a couple of games from just the cargo manifest. And then a Starship small deck plan, and then a larger grid deck plan. These were actually easier with graph paper, and everybody had graph paper who was role-playing back in the early 80s. D&D was mandatory to have graph paper. I always had some on hand, so I would just draw my starships out on that. And then the ship's data form, the universal ship profile, and all the important things about your ship. And then the Starship design checklist and the Starship design worksheet. All this stuff was really handy and something that was not available in the 80s. Now with computers, all this stuff is available at your fingertips anytime you want it. Yeah, you're up 2 a.m, just home from work, and you're wide awake. You can sit at your computer and you can do all this stuff. Back then, you couldn't. And now mapping forms. We're going to go ahead and we're going to map where we are in the subsector. The subsector map grid. Of course, this appears in other supplements. And then the world data. The sector description. And then the orange slice grid. The map of the world. World terrain data. Animal encounter table. I actually use this quite a bit. Animal encounters in Traveler did and still do work a lot like wandering monsters in AD&D. You stick them in when you want some action. And then some miscellaneous forms. And this is where my imagination really got tickled. Here, mercenary ticket. I like the idea. This, again, appeared in other forms, but it was pretty cool. Repatriation bond. If you've been captured by the enemy, this is the bond that says that they'll be paid for turning you loose. I just thought these were really cool. And, of course, they're all labeled TAS Form 18, TAS Form 17, straight through the book. So the Traveler's Aid Society is the one that put all these out in universe. Nice X-Boat message and X-Boat image transmission. So you could post a little picture of what you looked like as you were transmitting to the other ship. These are just neat things that just really got you going. This is the part that really got me excited about this book and then frustrated as heck. ID cards. This was something that did not exist for us in the 80s. To have the access to an Imperial Interstellar Scout Service ID card, but not be able to do anything with it because I couldn't copy it. It was frustrating for the first few years I had this book. This was really cool. And we got all kinds. Here, I'll go back and I'll show that in a proper view. There we go. Narcirca. And then all these different lines. Now with computers, my son goes ahead and he makes us IDs for various things. When we go to G-Fest in July, we're always wearing different Monarch badges, or he makes up Jurassic Park badges for us and things, but you couldn't do that back then. Here we are, press identification for Traveler News Service, Travelers Aid Society ID, University of Rylanor, qualified operator certificate. That can drive a lot of games right there. You got your license, Ripley with her Class 2 license in Alien and Aliens. And then we have a look at the Imperial calendar itself, and then the sources. And this gives us where all these forms first appeared, and then were compiled into this. So this book is more or less just a compilation, but I found it very useful and very frustrating. I really liked this book. I was really excited to get my hands on it. I remember coming home. I was done with work when I picked this up. I remember coming home, sitting on the couch, my cat curled up on my lap, reading this, and just savoring the book itself. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. As I say, my frustration lay with my inability to copy it, but by about 85 or so, that had been taken care of. I had access to a Xerox machine. And even before that, I had a couple of friends who were able to copy a couple of these, a couple of guys I played Traveler with. So I had access to a few of the forms, but not what I wanted. So there you have it, a throwback 40 years to what we had then and how we dealt with it. It's way different now, and honestly, overall, technologically, it's way better. It's pretty exciting to be able to do the stuff we can do with computers, especially in conjunction with Traveler. Not the least of which is Traveler Map, which is just an outstanding resource. So there you have it, a look at forms and charts from Traveler. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed. Again, as I said, I've reached 2,000. I'm excited about the growth of the channel and continue to grow. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Please do. Everyone who has, thank you. Anybody who is supporting me on Patreon, I appreciate it. Soon you guys are going to appear on screen with a thank you. Working on that, again, through the wonder of computers. So I'll have that soon to add into the videos. Anybody who else is interested in being a Patreon, please take a look at it. Anything you can do to support the channel. So that's all I've got to say today on page 121. I want to thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time.